Hey guys, it's Nimious. Really quickly, I just wanted to talk about some of my thoughts on the new beast units, or Laguz, coming to Fire Emblem Heroes. Basically, I wanted to talk about how different they are from how they are in their actual games. Path of Radiance, Radiant Dawn, versus how they are in Fire Emblem Heroes. This is a point worth talking about because this is really unexpected how they came out in the game. Now, it makes some sense for them to come out in the game like this, of course. You know, after all, they've held off for about, nearly 2 years, 20 months or something like that. So it makes sense that they're so different. It took a lot of thought and a lot of changes before they got to this point. But with that said, there are some changes. Some minor, some major. So let's start with one of the minor ones. Tibarn. Tibarn in particular, this man is relatively quick in his game. Relatively quick. In Fire Emblem Heroes, he's relatively slow. He's 31 speed. That's not fast by any means, but I understand that. If he had 40-something speed, and with the rest of his skill set in mind, it wouldn't be that useful, especially with his skills preventing doubles and with him naturally doubling if his opponent's at 100% HP. You wouldn't really need that extra speed. And if you do keep that 10 speed, you would either drop it or boost his BST to 170. He's basically a flying armor hero with 3 range. That's crazy. I can see why they didn't do that. Or you drop his other stats, which is also crazy because his res is already not good. His defense is, barely... Well, it's 34. It's not too low, too high, but it's barely above average, I would say, for infantry. Well, for flying heroes, I would just say. And his attack isn't bad at all. But yeah, I understand why they dropped his speed, tanked his speed, just for balancing aspects of the character. All right, but that's not, a major change. He was relatively quick in Radiant Dawn, and now he's relatively slow, but, with his skills, it's basically the same thing. I understand that. That's fine. The biggest one, however, is, in my opinion, Herons. Now, people equate Herons being unable to attack as the same as Ninian in her game. I just find that so absurd. It's not the same thing at all. It's not like Ninian can literally not attack. We know this. If Ninian uses a Dragon Stone, she transforms into an Ice Dragon. She can attack. A huge plot point, cinematic piece in the entire game was, Ninian transforming into Ice Dragon, fighting. I won't talk anything more about that. That's actually pretty, spoilery. So yeah, if she transforms, her and her brother transforms, you use a Dragon Stone. I know they're not full dragons, but they use their Dragon Stones, they fight, they can do it, alright? It's not the same. Herons, by lore reasons, they are physically afflicted if they attack. The prospect of war already makes, if you guys play the games, Path of Radiance, Radiant Dawn, already makes them drowsy, makes them feel uneasy. That's why they can't fight. Their entire race can't fight. Kind of the reason why they all got... There's so much spoilers in this. I should have just said this at the start. This spoilers are ahead. Potential spoilers ahead. Anyways, you know why they kind of got decimated, and you know why they can't really fight. Outside of one Heron, but he's kind of not counting. He doesn't count because he's... Again, I can't get into this because it's a spoiler, but outside of that one guy, you know who I'm talking about. Everyone else, they can't attack. They can't fight because they physically are unable to fight. So for them to come into Fire Emblem Heroes and they're suddenly, have weapons and they can fight. And here's the thing, I think Reyson's not a bad fighter at all, right? He has 47 attack, relatively high speed, when he's attacked anyways, and relatively decent defense. He's a pretty good defender, I would say. As good as you get for, a refresher hero. Okay, but it's such a big change to finally have Herons attack. It's just so foreign to the games themselves. It kind of makes you think, well, did the people who made these characters, did they play the games? Did they play teleseries? Now, this has happened several times before with other games, but this is the biggest case I've seen so far, where literally pacifists, entire race of pacifists, they need to be protected by other Laguz, suddenly can attack. I hope they explain that, but you really shouldn't be able to because the lore reasons are so against it. It's just so strange to me. Anyways, it's not just that, but also, just once again, it's not the same as Ninian, guys. Please, it is not. As a dancer, she has no attack. Sure, that makes sense, But once she transforms to a dragon, which she does in this game, she can clearly attack. And just like she could in her game, it's not the same. One final change is, well, there's another one, but Nailah having Distant Counter with Null Sea Disrupt. Alright, this is very different. She doesn't have Distant Counter in her own game. You know, this is more for the reason of selling Null Sea Disrupt. Null Sea Disrupt, for those who don't know, basically takes away the unable to counterattack, you know, weapons. So, for example, if Brave Lynn attacked, you know, Fire Sweep weapons attacked, or if Veronica with her staff, or any staff heroes with, you know, unable that take away the dazzling effect of it, taking away your ability to counterattack. Basically, if any of them attack Nailah, she will be able to counterattack with distant counter. Now, if she didn't come distant counter, and it's not like she's the first hero outside of Hector to have distant counter. Hree did that, alright, fine. But she didn't have distant counter in her game, and the reason why they put distant counter in this game is so they can sell Null Sea Disrupt. It's not a bad usage, all things considered, because, you know, she has her great C skill, which basically forces people to attack her, especially with AI. And if it's a ranged hero, like, it wouldn't be as useful. So it makes sense, and it's nice to have another hero of distant counter, sure. But you understand, again, this isn't following how she was in her own game. Well, her C skill was in her game, but anyways, it doesn't. The B skill and the A skill doesn't follow how she was in her own game. All right, that's all I wanted to say about that. I mean, it's different. I still like beast units and how they handle it in this game. It's great. It's a great addition to the game, and it's really positive to the game. It's just it's so different from how the heroes are so different from how they are in their own game. I just find it so immensely interesting. The final thing is, beast units are not all colorless. This should have been a thing. Again, once again, referring to the original games, Path of Radiance, Radiant Dawn, beast units are not part of the weapon triangle. You know, axes, lances, swords, they don't have special effects on them, or there's no advantage or disadvantage against beast units. They just naturally have really high stats, so they could have just, you know, done something about that. Well, what class in Fire Emblem Heroes is like that? Well, it's colorless heroes. They have no advantage or disadvantage against the rest of the swords, the axes, lances. And I already never been a fan of, you know, colored archers, colored dagger heroes. I always thought that was really strange, and you're just taking away from the class. Like, colorless heroes, what's so special about them? Well, the only thing special about them at this point is that you have staff heroes. That's it. That's it. Everything else is, you know, basically already melding into the other colored classes. Not a fan of that. So with colorless heroes, I think if you stuck closer to the actual games, make them all colorless, you know. Now, Laguz take extra damage from fire, and I understand that. But you could have balanced that out by just having them have low res, which you already did, you know. Tibarn's res is low. The Herons are kind of different. To be fair, they are closer to what they are in their actual games when it comes to res. Of course, they have attack in this game, which didn't have in the original game. Anyways. With all that said, I really think they should have just all been colorless. Colorless is still the weakest class, in my opinion, in the game, by far. You've already gone out of their way to, like, you know, take away excellent heroes for them, in my opinion. For example, if New Year Fjorm was colorless, to be fair, that would have been like the third identical hero. So that's not exactly the same, but I don't feel like she's as important or as useful because she is a green hero. If she was colorless, she would be basically identical to Summer Takumi, and they're both flying. So yeah, I understand that's like a duplicate hero. You don't really want to do that. And 35 attack, 35 speed is already what Bridal Cordelia has, who is a colorless hero. But, you know, again, colorless at this point, it's only really good for fodder. You don't really go pull for colorless if you want to hope to get like a great hero, and they would have to basically be focus hero. It's basically Veronica, Brave Lynn, I don't know, Pause, Maribel. There's like a big drop off, Soth. But yeah, there's not that many great colorless heroes, and if Laguz were all colorless, it would really boost it up. And in the future, people could like, oh wow, I'm getting, it's a non-focus orb, and I have to pull on it. Let's go colorless. Let's try and get, you know, a Laguz. That would have changed the game, in my opinion, much more to the better. Anyways, this is getting a bit long, but I just wanted to say the way they handled, you know, beast units in this game is just so different from what I expected. It's interesting. I'm not gonna say it's good or bad. I just find it interesting. It's also kind of, oh, one last thing. Did you guys notice like how we got the Lords of Laguz here? What does that even mean anymore? The Lords of Laguz in, you know, Path of Radiance, Radiant Dawn, they're the best of the beast units. You know, the best of the Laguz. You use them easily over all the other options. And with power creep and our expectations of power creep, are you about to tell me like Leith is going to be better than, you know, Tibarn? Or like Ranulph, well, Ranulph is pretty damn good. You don't really replace Ranulph. Well, you could, but he's still pretty damn good. You would still use him along with other lords. I'm just saying, like, are you gonna make the future, or Mordachi? I can't even say his name wrong, right? But are you gonna make the future beast units even better than the launch beast units? Because the launch units for every class generally, you know, get power crept relatively easily, and these are supposed to be the best of their classes lore-wise. So I'm just really interested in how they're handling this as a whole. Anyways, guys, this has gotten really long. Let me know what you guys think about how ICE has handled beast units in Fire Emblem Heroes. I personally just find it interesting. I want to see what more they're going to do before I really give my feelings on it. I just think it's so weird. But yeah, that's just me. Anyways, guys, thank you for listening. This was Nimious. Have a great day. Bye-bye.